So in this video, we're going to go over how to set systems instead of goals so you can change your life and actually achieve your goals. So first, what are we going to cover in this video? We're going to cover the difference between systems and goals, how the system can change your life, how to build that system, and how to make sure you actually take action and actually build it. So make sure you take notes in the comments to help bring clarity to not only you, but also everyone else watching this video. So first, let's look at the difference between systems and goals. So goals are desired future scenarios that we can't control, right? So, I want to make $1 million this year, right? There's so many variables to that factor. It could be how the market is, right? The external environment. It could be your product that you need to continue to test and build and make better, or your service, right? So there's so many different aspects to it that it's something we can't really control, right? And the other thing is goals keep you stuck in the future because you're always going to be comparing where you are now versus that future state. So what does that do? Goals make you constantly stress when comparing against that future because now you're like, oh man, I'm only at X number and I know my future state is $1 million. So now you're going to keep comparing. Oh, I'm at month 6 and I'm nowhere near my $1 million future state goal. So you're just going to continue building that stress, and that's not going to help you because when you're in a stressful mode, you're not going to make the best decisions. You're not going to find all the right opportunities to actually help you reach that goal. Now, systems instead, they're designed inputs that we can control, right? So when you look at a system, you have inputs, process, outputs, then you have feedback, and you also have environment, right? So you have inputs that you know you're going to do. Then there's going to be a process in place. So the process is whatever the inputs does. There's going to be some sort of process that you're using that input for. Then you're going to have outputs from that process. And then you're going to have feedback to help you iterate and do the inputs better next time, right? So it becomes a loop. But there's also environment. Environment are external things we can't control that might affect our inputs and process, right? So it's clear if we give an example, right? So the inputs could be, oh, I need to make more YouTube videos, right? So the input is filming, editing YouTube videos. The process is uploading, seeing seeing how many views and things like that, right? Then your outputs, you're looking at viewers, conversions, right? But then you have the feedback. So the feedback is looking at, oh, okay, well, this video did good, so that means I got to make more of those. Or this video did bad. Where did people leave off? What do I need to change? So this is the feedback that then helps you with the inputs because now you know, okay, I got to make a YouTube video more like this, a better one that keeps retention and things like that. And then you go through that process again. Environment here is like, okay, well, let's say your niche, something happens in your niche that changes what people want in the market. Then that's going to be something you're going to have to take into effect when you do this process. So systems are used to test inputs with feedback, right? And systems testing allows us to reach the desired outputs because doing this, focusing on this and what you can control is more likely to lead you to this than it is if you were to do the goal where you're just comparing yourself constantly to that number. So how can systems change your life? Well, they're designed with what you can control in mind, right? It helps reframe failures as tests because it's just feedback. And it keeps you positive so you don't give up, right? Because if you're continually comparing yourself to that future state in a goal way, when you're using goals, you're going to be like, I'm so far away from that goal, I might as well give up. I'll do something else. I'll switch. But then every time you switch, you're losing that feedback system that helps you get better. So now how do we build this system? So we build the system using the S3 method. So I call this the simplify, standardize, systemize method. So first you simplify. You write down the outcome you'd like to achieve so it's clear and simple. So sure, we can say, okay, yeah, it's that $1 million a year, let's say. Then we use the idea method to streamline the outcome. So the idea is innovate, delegate, eliminate, and automate. So as you go through this process, you innovate. Is there a way that I know that I can come up with that might help me reach that goal? Let's innovate that. Let's come up with a way of doing that. Can we delegate? Are there tasks to reach that goal that we can delegate to someone else? Whether it's an AI or an employee or a contractor. Eliminate. Are there things here that we can actually eliminate? Things that we think we need to do that we don't really need to do? Is it busy work? Or is it work that's going to move the needle? Then there's automate. So of the things that we're delegating, are there things that we can actually automate? Are there things we can automate with AI or with robotic process automation? Right? Or some other process that we can use to automate. So once we've gone through this process, now we write down a set of inputs that would set you in the right direction towards your outcome, right? So the input doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to iterate, right? We're going to go through that feedback process. But we're going to write down all the inputs that we believe will get us to that goal. Things that we can control, something that you can be consistent and repeatable with. And something that you can test, right? So that you can get better and better at. Something that's going to go through that feedback loop system where it's inputs, process, outputs, feedback, and environment. Next, we systemize. So we delegate tasks to AI or someone else if there are tasks that they can do. Then we systemize the day and time you will perform any tasks you need to perform, right? You got to keep yourself accountable too, not just the people you delegate to. So for these inputs, what day of the week will I do them? What time of that day will I do them? For example, if it's the YouTube videos, can I batch them? Can I batch them into one day, one time? So that way I get all of them done, then I just do the upload process, and then I can worry about feedback and stuff next, right? So before you build this, though, before you build the system, you have to resolve any internal conflicts that you have. Because there are internal conflicts and stories that will prevent you from executing on any of this system, or it will prevent you from reaching any goals, anything. It will prevent you from executing anything that you need to do, right? Because you have these internal conflicts. We're all human. We all have these internal conflicts. And your internal conflicts equals external chaos. Because external systems are a reflection of those internal states that we have. So in order to do that, let's take a look at the core story engine. So this is what I call the engine that drives all of your conflicts. So if we go into the story conflict matrix, we can see the core four story conflicts. You have self versus self. So that's you against all of your internal parts, because we have internal parts like the family man, we have the business owner, we have the friend, we have the father, we have the husband. All of these different parts have their own goals. And if their goals collide with each other, we have self versus self conflict. Then there's self versus business. So does your goals and your business goals even align anymore? Did you build a business that you no longer love because it prevents you from reaching your personal goals, right? Because that could be a problem. The self versus task. Are you procrastinating with a goal? With a task? Are you afraid of what will happen when you do that task, right? These are things that are internal conflicts against the task itself. And so these are all internal. And then this one is external. So business versus task. Do you have the people, the process in place to actually do this system, right? The people and the process in place to do this system. So these conflicts need to be resolved before we can build the system. So in terms of actually building the system, what story quadrant prevents you from doing the S3 method that we discussed? Is it self versus self? Do you have a conflict between parts of you on whether to even take the time to build the system? Is it self versus task? Are you procrastinating writing your repeatable processes and inputs? Is it self versus business? Are your goals and your business goals no longer aligned? Is it business versus tasks? Do you need someone but you don't have anyone to delegate the task to for your system, right? So we got to tackle the story quadrants. So, self versus self. You have to find out what each part of you wants and negotiate between those parts so that you can find something that they align with that will help you move forward. Self versus task. You have to lower the threshold of action. What does that mean? That means you need to make sure that you set a time and place. Let's say at 9 a.m. tomorrow, I'm going to sit in front of my computer and I'm going to have Google Docs open. And for 5 minutes, I'm not going to do anything unless it's writing the SOP or writing the inputs. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to sit in front of it. So what's that going to do? That's going to force yourself to actually start writing. And then you're going to get into a flow state as you write. Because that little push of the snowball down the hill makes a huge avalanche, right? It makes that huge snowball. So you're going to get into that flow state. And then you're going to realize, oh, wow, I did most of what I was supposed to do anyway. I wrote all the inputs. I wrote any SOPs, standard operating procedures. I did all that. Just by first making it super simple, lower threshold of action. The other thing is to make sure the right part is in place for the task. So you want a part that likes to write or that likes to create to be in the conscious mind while you're sitting down, because then that's going to help you get into flow state much easier. Next, we have the self versus business path. So it's finding out what each part of you, those internal parts, what each part of them wants, and pulling them together as a team. So you want the goals of family man to meet the goals of the husband, to meet the goals of the father, to meet the goals of the business owner. You want to find the underlying goal that's underneath all of them so that they can all work together to help you with your system and with your business. So once you align all of them, you have to align your business goals with your internal team's goals. You have to find that alignment. So it's almost like negotiating between all your parts to be a leader of those parts, and then also with your business to make sure your business aligns with the team, the internal team you have. Then you have business versus tasks. So we simplify, remember this is external. We simplify with the idea method, innovate, delegate, eliminate, automate. We standardize with SOPs, which are those standard operating procedures. So it's just step-by-step guides. And then we systemize with those SOPs by delegating with AI or with people, employees, contractors, things of that nature. So, if you would like more help with this, click the link in the pinned comment or description to help you reclaim 5+ hours a week in your business, overcome internal resistance, take guilt-free vacations while scaling, and all without your business falling apart.